So one thing I really want to highlight about vitamin B12 is that unlike all the other B vitamins, it's not quite so available in plant foods. So it's quite abundant in animal foods, in meat, liver, milk. Cottage and feta cheese are a good source, organic eggs, a range of fish. It's a little bit harder to get from a plant-based diet. And so indeed, if you are following a plant-based diet, it's not that you can't get enough vitamin B12, it's that you've just got to be very mindful about it. So let's look at some of our plant or vegan sources of B12. Nutritional yeast, sea vegetables, in particular nori. And sea vegetables are an absolutely valuable inclusion in a diet. So consider exploring sea vegetables if you haven't already. Shiitake and lion's mane mushrooms are a great source. And again, they have many other health benefits and are both used medicinally. So explore those a bit more too if you're not familiar with them. Another great source is Chlorella, and Chlorella is a microalgae. It's a microalgae that sort of has that superfood status because it's abundant in all sorts of nutrients, and indeed it does provide vitamin B12. So you could get a good amount of vitamin B12 by using around 9 grams a day of Chlorella powder. And that can just be added into smoothies, into juices. It has quite a strong taste. So, do adapt to the taste, but it is a very, well worthwhile inclusion in the diet. So you have got some options there. Now, deficiency signs and symptoms of vitamin B12. Well, not surprisingly, the anemia with the large immature red blood cells and associated signs and symptoms, fatigue, breathlessness, pale skin, etc. The big thing is neurological abnormalities. And, it's kind of, the issue with the neurological abnormalities is that some of those, if the deficiency has gone on long enough, are not easily reversible. And this is why we want to be so mindful of vitamin B12 intake. So there can be tingling, numbness, loss of balance, and that's things reflecting poor myelination, but also affecting neurotransmitter production. And in fact, what can be a really key sign is depression, and depression with a level of paranoia. And I remember a number of years ago having a client come in who had pernicious anemia. And pernicious anemia is a condition, it's an autoimmune condition where you can't absorb vitamin B12 from food. And so her B12 levels had got really low. And she was very depressed and very paranoid. And I referred her to her GP because I knew she needed vitamin B12 injections. There is a level where you've got to just get things happening a lot more quickly. And the change in her the next time I saw her was just incredible. So don't underestimate the effects that deficiencies in certain vitamins and indeed minerals can have. Here we've got an example of a nice recipe where you can get good amounts of your B vitamins. So quinoa and bean medley. So where are the B vitamins coming from? Well, they're coming from the quinoa for starters. And remember that quinoa is also a great protein source because it is a plant food that contains all the essential amino acids. You're also going to get your B vitamins from the salad leaves, the pumpkin seeds, the mixed beans. So there's quite an abundance there. What I do want to highlight is that it won't provide vitamin B12, but you can easily remedy that. Add some sliced shiitake mushrooms in there, or use some of your nice sea vegetables and just sprinkle those on the top. So it's quite a nice and simple recipe to make. Let's take a look at the instructions. So the instructions for the quinoa and bean medley. So measure your quinoa into a bowl and cover with cold water, leaving it to stand for 20 minutes. Then you drain the quinoa and rinse under cold running water. Place it in a saucepan with just enough water to cover the grains, so use boiling water. Put on the lid and simmer for 15 minutes. Give it the occasional stir. So ideally your quinoa should have a light bite to it when cooked through properly. So you just sort of fluff it up with the fork before serving. It should go quite nice and fluffy. Top with the mixed salad leaves, pumpkin seeds and the mixed beans. Then mix together your tahini and oil until they're nice and smooth. Add the rest of the ingredients and pour over the salad before serving. Remember to consider adding in something like the shiitake mushrooms to give you that vitamin B12 component.